Welcome, young Mazbeth, to Geek Salad's Retro Movie Reviews from the Geek Salad Podcast. I'm Andy.
And I'm Mike.
And we continue on with our look at Halloween horror movies through the 1990s. This week landing on 1999's Sleepy Hollow, directed by Tim Burton.
Yep. And this is very much a Tim Burton.
Finished watching it.
Yes. In fact, that's why we're a couple minutes late.
Oh. He had to get to at least the climax of the end.
Yes.
There's still a little bit of the epilogue, but we'll.
Yeah, I've got like 1 or 2 minutes.
You really aren't going to miss much.
No.
All right. Well, this is your first time. I watched this movie in the theater. What were your thoughts?
My thoughts. It's a fine Tim Burton movie.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest issue is it seems like it's trying to have like five or six different genres all squished together. It's trying to be a horror movie. It's trying to be a period piece. It's trying to be a Tim Burton comedy. It's trying to be a mystery. And it does all of them kind of good. It feels like it's trying to juggle too many things. Mm-hmm. And he's dropping them too many times.
Okay.
It's a fine movie. I don't know. I wish Tim Burton had kind of tightened his scope a little bit.
Okay. I mean, this is weird because it's like we get the Von Tassels, we get Ichabod Crane, but this isn't the Washington Irving.
No.
In the Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
No.
It isn't. It is and I don't think that the Legend of Sleepy Hollow itself proper would be able to sustain itself for an hour and 45 minutes.
No. I mean, honestly, with the Disney cartoon, it barely sustains it for like half an hour.
I think it's a half hour long, yeah.
Yeah. It's combined with Wind in the Willow. Yeah,
and then that way you technically have a full movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was wartime Disney. Yeah, this one is interesting because I feel like, especially as we've been talking about like horror through the 90s, that adaptations were huge.
Yeah.
In the 90s. Almost all of them had Francis Ford Coppola's name on them, including this one. If you noticed. This is an American Zoetrope production. It's also a Scott Rudin production because I think at the time he was the head of production at Paramount. And but yeah, I think this was one of those things that Coppola had in his craw that he really wanted to direct, and it didn't end up happening, especially after he directed Dracula and then produced Mary Shelley's Frankenstein in 94, which if you didn't like there is no way you're gonna like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. It is dreadful. It is not a good movie. But this one
I will say the cast is stellar.
Oh my god, the amount of Harry Potter alum who aren't even alum yet because they haven't even done the Harry Potter movies yet, is off the hook.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Miranda Richardson, Michael Gambon, Richard Griffiths,
Michael Gough.
Anybody else here?
Michael Gough. Michael Gough
is not in Harry Potter.
No, but he's still a fantastic actor.
He's still a fantastic actor, but him, Jeffrey Jones, they're part of the Burton.
Yeah, Ian McDermott's in this one.
Ian McDermott is in. Ian McDermott had a really good year in '99.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Same year as Phantom Menace.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And realistically speaking, I think that the big thing about this movie is, first of all, it is very much a Tim Burton movie. I'm glad that Tim Burton was the person to direct this movie, especially in the form that it was in. Where it is trying to do a number of different things, and they are trying to solve a mystery. Yeah. And it was more we know that the Headless Horseman is one killing people, but why?
And I will say, if this was done like maybe 2 years later, Helena Bonham Carter is in the Miranda Richardson role.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. And they find somebody else to play Ichabod's mother.
Yeah.
Because Lisa Marie is the mother in that. This is her I don't now I gotta look. This might be her last movie with Tim Burton. She may have been. I'm looking right quick to see if she was in Planet of the Apes, which would be the next Tim Burton movie.
Oh yeah. Well.
Yeah.
I'm
she going was in right now. No, she is. She was in Planet of the Apes.
Nova.
Nova, and then but that's where he met Helena Bonham Carter.
And honestly, when I first saw The Crone, like with the big veil down, I was like, "That's Helena Bonham Carter, is it?"
Yeah, no. Also Miranda Richardson.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is incredible to me how versatile Miranda Richardson is. Just period.
Also, I gotta say, when like the veil comes off and those like face goes out,
Large
I'm like,
Marge.
oh, that's Pee-wee's Big Adventure right there.
That's
Large Marge.
Yeah. No, but she is an incredibly versatile actress to begin with.
I mean,
she was doing Blackadder. She was playing Queen Elizabeth in Blackadder. And then, she got nominated for a couple of Oscars. Did this?
You mentioned that the amount of Harry Potter cast in this.
Yeah.
I mean, never mind that. The amount of Blackadder cast.
Other than Miranda Richardson, who else?
Well, I thought Richard Griffiths was in Blackadder.
No.
Really?
None of these guys were Blackadder, like part of the Blackadder group.
I could have sworn I saw. Yeah. Ow. I was wrong. I admit.
It's quite all right. There are. I mean, this is. I have to admit, I thought I'd be thrown off by Johnny Depp's performance. I was fine with it. I felt like it fit what it needed to fit. And having actually never read The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, nor at this point in my life, I had never seen the Disney film. So that was like,
yeah. No, I really like Johnny Depp's performance. He had those like few goofy moments that I was like, all right, but whatever. Who kind of threw me off in this movie was Christina Ricci.
Yeah.
She was. I hate to typecast her, but she was still very much in the Wednesday Addams feel, and this role did nothing to help that.
Yeah, I mean, she was 19.
She's
when
also
this movie came out.
She's also nearly 20 years younger than Johnny Depp.
That's very true. But she was, at this point, she was in a movie called The Opposite of Sex. And that actually garnered a lot of like award recognition and stuff like that back in like 99.
Yeah, I honestly, I think it wasn't until Monster that she was starting to kick that with the Wednesday Addams feel.
Right. And apparently, according to Johnny Depp, it was very difficult working with her, only because he used to date Winona Ryder.
Oh, yeah.
At the time she was doing Mermaids, and Christina Ricci was in Mermaids, so he always knew her as a small child.
And apparently Ricci was not a big fan of her character in this one.
She's very wishy-washy in this.
Yeah, I'm on the Wikipedia page, and Christina Ricci herself describes her character as sort of like a fairy tale, a princessy character, very one-sided, no emotional depth.
Right.
And I can't see she's wrong.
No. Out of the major cast, she's definitely the weakest link. In it, they give her some really weird monologues, and there's that bit where they're at the tree, and she leaves at the house, at the burned out house. Hey, Hobo, how's it going? We
Glad to see you.
Yeah. That weird thing at the house where she says goodbye to Ichabod. She gets on her horse, and then the horse like does the thing, like
yeah, yeah, and it's. I mean, yeah. And then, of course, you get Miranda Richardson's big expose dump at the end.
Yeah. Which, okay, I'm fine with that. We needed to start tying up loose ends and not make this movie 2.5 hours long. I think time-wise, I talk about this a lot. This movie is very efficient in its time.
Yeah.
It moves along I think it moves along at a solid pace.
It does. It does. I don't. Out of all the genres that it's trying to combine here, I think the mystery genre is kind of the weakest part of it.
It's hard to follow.
There's a lot of weird names just being thrown around, and you never really fully connected to how they're all combined. Exactly.
We paused several times when we watched it because my son watched it for the first time. And just like trying to like, okay, so who's that? Why did the horseman kill this person? Why did they kill this person? And just we had to kind of like do the like just the yarn on the chalkboard to try to connect it as well. The gothic horror aspect of this and the setting of this movie are pitch perfect though.
Yes. Yes, definitely the strongest parts.
It's definitely a movie you want to watch on a wet fall day because it's it's got the feel of a fireplace and wet leaves,
Yeah.
It just feels like that. And it really evokes that. I think that really works well with this. The other thing too, on the horror aspect of this, the blood, even though, they'd mentioned that the sword cauterizes the wound, so there's not a lot of blood, there is still blood in this movie, which I guarantee Tim Burton lobbied to get Hammer blood.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just like the Hammer red.
Yeah, it had that bright, vibrant, especially like when he's chopping into the tree.
Oh my god!
It's just spraying on him. I'm like, I don't know. That felt a little excessive to me.
Yeah, but at the same time, you got to earn your R rating, and just you're already there. You might as well go full forward on it, especially if we're saying that that tree and those roots are the portal to hell. Then that would be. Yeah. That would make sense that there would be blood there. There's all the heads there. Why not make it as horrifying as possible? Funny story, by the way. This film was shot in England. They could not get a live cardinal for this movie. They ended up having to use an animatronic because there are no cardinals in England.
Oh.
I think they said there was like one cardinal available to them, and they just could not fulfill like the contractual obligations of having to bring this thing on set. That's why the cardinal is fake.
I am kind of actually. I was thinking while I was watching it, like it feels like all of the sets in the woods were on like a huge, gigantic soundstage.
Yeah,
but the town itself felt like it might have been just an actual setting.
The town itself felt very, very lived in.
Yes.
And it was small enough that you and I grew up in Massachusetts. We've got the Tree of Blood Fitzworld. I haven't seen The Guardian.
No, nor I.
Yeah. Huh. I'll have to check that out. It's still October. I'm still on my horror kick because Weapons comes out on HBO tomorrow. I'll finally get around to watching that one. I've been told. It's like The Substance. I've been told. But you and I grew up in Massachusetts. We had Sturbridge Village. So this felt like Sturbridge Village to me.
Oh, it really did.
It really did. Especially like the covered, like that small covered bridge. Okay. Now I'm going to have to check it out. Thank you. Oh, and my grow lights for my lemon trees turned off.
Oh.
So if you notice flicker, that's what that was.
I did notice that, yes.
Yes, then I had to make sure that I said my grow lights for my lemon trees. Not my tomato plants, but my. That was the greatest lie we ever told my grandmother, and it was hilarious. I gotta say though, this is so funny seeing Casper Van Dien in this movie because I had only known him from Starship Troopers and still pretty much only know him from Starship Troopers, and then him getting cleaved in half in this movie.
Yeah,
which honestly is the goriest part of this entire movie is watching him just get split with those two axes.
I gotta say the scene where like they fool Ichabod and like throw the pumpkin at his head. That scene eventually actually kind of amounts to absolutely nothing. It feels like they threw that scene in because that's a nod to the original story. Now let's move on with our story.
Why it was in there. It was only in there to throw a nod to the original story. I mean, you could kind of say that Brom was the jock of Sleepy Hollow, and he understands that there's somebody else vying for Katrina's affections in that. Yeah,
but I don't know. It felt like that plot point was never fully developed and just ended up going absolutely nowhere before he gets killed. So
honestly, I was fine with that. I don't think I needed more in Brom because it's just more Casper Van Dien on screen. Yeah. I mean, I feel like
at least he's not At least he's not playing someone of Hispanic background in this one.
Exactly.
Johnny Rico.
The interesting thing about this movie is you can tell that Tim Burton was really trying to hit this one out of the park, considering, I don't know what your mileage is on Mars Attacks. I got the joke. I got the joke for Mars Attacks. Not everybody, very few people did, and that's not a knock on anybody.
Yeah, I got the joke, but for me, the execution of the joke was just so over the top that I didn't find it funny.
It definitely is one of those movies, and I said this about Pacific Rim, a movie I really like. That Pacific Rim is too dark and too noisy to really make waves for the mainstream audience. The same thing with Mars Attacks. Mars Attacks was too bright and too insane and too loud to make waves, and it's definitely found its audience. But it's almost like that. It was Tim Burton had a string of bombs at that point. He had let's be honest, Nightmare Before Christmas did not do what we think it did back in 1993, even though he did not direct that. He was producer on that one.
Planet of the Apes
did not do well. Mars Attacks did not do well. Well, Planet of the Apes is 2001. It did okay. It just wasn't a very good movie. This really, I think, hit a nice little sweet spot in terms of what it offered for the run of the mill Tim Burton fan.
I mean, it didn't knock it out of the park as far as box office goes, but I would say it at least broke even.
It definitely, it did.
Yeah.
It did. And it came out at the right time of year, too. Nothing drives me more insane than Halloween movies that come out in the summer. I know M on Verbal Diorama just talked about Hocus Pocus. That movie was released in the summer of 93.
Yeah.
And it was swallowed up by Jurassic Park.
You know what? Did have an...
Mm-hmm. No, go ahead.
I had an epiphany while watching this one. Well, I started it yesterday. 90s, like late 80s, early 90s, Tim Burton and Barry Sonnenfeld are the perfect Halloween movie directors because they mix that trick or treat very well.
I agree. I think Tim Burton kind of came up in that. Tim Burton came from the horror genre. He grew up watching Vincent Price and Hammer films. We got movies like Vincent, Frank and Weenie. And he was the perfect pick for Batman, for those first two Batman movies.
Yeah.
And then just bringing gothic fantasy aspects to things like Beetlejuice, to things like Edward Scissorhands. This is definitely within his wheelhouse. Barry Sonnenfeld grew into that, and the main reason for that is because as much as we enjoyed the original Addams Family, in all honesty, it's not as good of a movie as Family Values. Nobody will argue with that. And you can tell that he kind of like grew into it. He grew into that. So he could be a more competent filmmaker. So by the time Men in Black comes around, he's there and he's in.
I would say like Tim Burton kind of favors maybe the horror a little bit more than the trick. The trick more than the treat. And Barry Sonnenfeld is more the treat than the trick.
Right. All right. Should have taken over Batman after. Yeah,
that would have been interesting. That would have been really interesting.
It would have definitely been interesting. My only concern with that, I don't think it's a bad idea at all, but my only concern with that is that the weight of the Batman franchise might have been a little too much for Sonnenfeld, primarily because there are stories of him having a absolute nervous breakdown when he was doing the Addams Family, where the expectations weren't as high as you need to follow up the Tim Burton Batman movies.
Yeah.
And I we have a lot of fans. They're huge fans of Forever and Robin. I love you guys, but they're not great movies.
Sonnenfeld would have been a hell of a lot better than what we got.
Than Schumacher. I agree. Yeah. I just don't. I think that I just don't think it would happen. Thank you. Yeah. I don't think even in our fantasy world, knowing what we know, I don't think that would have happened. I'm sure there were other directors too, but now we'll never know. It's been 30 years. Let's talk a little bit about the music. It's interesting because obviously it's Danny Elfman. Yeah. But for me, it was weird because like I know Danny Elfman done the music for Mars Attacks, but I always felt like because he and Burton had a falling out during Ed Wood. He did not do the music for Ed Wood. That's Howard Shore. But this is back to. I don't think this stands out beyond. This isn't the Batman fanfare. This isn't Beetlejuice. This isn't Edward Scissorhands in terms of quality of score. But it's a very effective. I think it's very effective, especially for the setting and everything. Yeah. I don't think another composer could have done this if he had never worked with Tim Burton before. I think this would have been his first movie with him. Again, playing fantasy booking here. But I think that by this point their paths would have crossed had they not already.
Yeah, this is a fine Danny Elfman score. But yeah, most of the time when you hear Danny Elfman score, it stands out. Like there are moments that you're like, oh, that's Danny Elfman.
Right.
I never really felt this one felt like a Danny Elfman score, but it felt very understated compared to some of the others he's done.
It forgive the term, it got lost in the background a little bit, which isn't a bad thing because you don't want the score to overwhelm.
No.
It would be nice to be able to hum the fanfare a little bit, but this really didn't have much of a fanfare. Interesting though that on the audio commentary for this, I got this movie when it came out on DVD, and there was a time when I used to love listening to audio commentaries. And Tim Burton and Danny Elfman are doing the commentary, and they're talking about, okay, everything here, Danny, is really understated, and then your name pops up on the screen, and that's when we get the first swell of score.
Of course. You know what? You're doing the music, you might as well.
Yeah. Speaking of the credits, interesting thing I read on trivia on IMDb, that Christopher Lee is in the movie at the very, very beginning and does not appear again. And his name then appears in the credits, like the opening credits, but you don't see him after that point.
Yeah, that threw me
Him
off.
and Alan Armstrong.
That's who it was. I was trying to remember. I saw him. I'm like, I know who that is.
Yep.
I don't know who that
Armstrong.
is. Now I gotta look up, see what else he's done.
Okay, I've got his stuff here. The High Constable. He was in The Mummy Returns. He was in Krull, Van Helsing. He was in the recent Masterpiece version of Tom Jones. He was in Sherwood.
Wow, he's still around.
Yeah, he's still alive. Yeah, You're the Rabbit, which I highly recommend. He was in that one. He was the chief inspector. You're the Rabbit takes place during it kind of around the time of the Jack the Ripper murders, and it's Matt Berry as a very unorthodox British detective.
Oh, Matt Berry.
From What We Do in the Shadows and the IT Crowd. Yeah. It's on. If you have BritBox, it's on BritBox.
I have BritBox.
It is well worth it. It's only like 6 episodes, but it's very funny. He was also Thénardier in the concert of Les Mis.
Oh,
the big anniversary concert. Yeah.
Yeah, he's actually he's got quite the got quite the
and I'm sure that his theater credentials are even longer.
They are. They very much are.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Christopher Walken making an appearance as the Hessian.
Yeah. I mean, it may sound weird to say, but I'm kind of glad he didn't have any lines.
Oh, yeah.
Because that would have kind of thrown off the Hessian danger of him. Like, hello.
Well, that was a funny thing, too. When he finally got his head back on, the flesh shows up, and then Lady Von Tassel wakes up, and she just looks at me. He's just like, and we were in the theater seeing it. My friend Steve and I were just like, hello.
Yeah. I love Christopher Walken. I'm glad he didn't give me. Well, actually, speaking of people that had good years this year, one of the stunt doubles for one of the people in the had this horseman outfit, Ray Park.
Yep.
AKA Darth Maul.
Yep. Which is, I remember saying that too to my family when we were watching. It's like, oh yeah, that's Ray Park, Darth Maul. Yeah. So cool. Well, sorry, go ahead.
Just one more, just a little weird thing that I was like,
yeah.
They just escaped from the burning windmill.
Yep.
And they're standing there just watching it burn. I'm like, he's not dead. Ichabod even says he's not.
Are you okay?
Yeah. He's not dead. So
yep.
Why aren't you riding away?
Yeah, we legitimately, we get to the point where it's like you can question the reality of this movie, or you can understand that there was an undead headless horseman with a sword that lights a fire so you can cauterize the wound, and the guy's dead horse.
It was just like, I'm watching that, I'm like, Ichabod, you're saying he's not dead. You need to get to the tree. Why aren't you riding away right now?
Yeah.
And instead, boom, there he comes.
Yeah, well, it's just, you gotta ramp that up there. And I'm sure there were questions abound on set, but
it was a minor nitpick, but yeah.
Yeah, overall, it's been a while since I've seen this one. I really enjoyed this movie. I think I liked it better than you did, obviously, because I just think it's a fun ride. Atmospherically, this movie hits the sweet spots that I need for a Halloween movie.
It is my second favorite movie that we've covered this year so far. this month,
Mhm.
mainly because both Dracula and Interview with Vampire, they were very much trick, not really any treat.
Right.
This one was nice and trick and treat, but for me, it's Tremors. Tremors
Right.
is just so much fun,
Right.
and I always prefer my Halloween with more treat than trick.
Right. Right. I've been trying to do a blend this season, so
Fair.
yeah, and watching Scream and going, I have yet to see a single person of color since I've gotten here.
Yeah, we should actually probably mention the fact that we didn't do Scream because it's kind of like one of the biggest ones of the '90s.
Yeah, it was in the conversation.
Yeah,
But
it's
it's not your wheel. It's not really my wheelhouse either.
yeah, I have seen it. Um, it's a fine movie. There's a brutality to the violence, but it's a realistic brutality, and that's what really kind of turns me off.
Yeah.
Whereas something like
the brutality doesn't mix as well with the comedy aspect that they're trying to go for.
Yeah.
And having 29 years now removed from this movie being released and around the time I saw it for the first time, it feels like it feels like it knows it's being too clever for its own good, and that nod to wink throughout the film is it gets annoying, especially because knowing what we know now, you get that hindsight. You don't have that recency bias anymore. That it just fine. If it's your your cup of Jello, it's your cup of Jello. It just didn't age as well as what I want my Jello to taste like. If that makes any sense.
Whereas this one,
anyway,
I think this one aged nicely.
I think it aged very well. Couple of dated effects, not a lot. That the pumpkin throwing just never looked good. Even in '99, it didn't look good. It definitely looked like it was on a line.
It's on a string. It's on a line.
Anyway, so that's our take on Sleepy Hollow. We want to know, what are your thoughts on the 1999 Tim Burton Sleepy Hollow? Leave that polite comment below. If you are new to the channel, please thumbs up, subscribe. You know the deal. Also, check out all the Halloween reviews that we've done. The last three. This is our third year in a row where we have looked at a decade's worth of Halloween movies. So we did the 70s, we've done the 80s, we've done the 90s. Next year is going to be interesting because horror takes a weird turn. In the aughts. So we'll figure that one out. But yeah. So anyway, Mike and I also host a little podcast called Geek Salad. You can check that out wherever you get your podcasts. And
episode will be up this weekend.
This weekend we have a new episode coming out. So if you are not a fan of horror movies and you want to know what horror movies we can recommend, every day is Halloween.
This is Halloween. This is
Halloween. I just put that. I gave that record a spin for the first time today.
Oh yeah.
First time this year, rather. I got it for Christmas last year. But yeah, so if you're not a fan of horror movies, but you want to know what horror movies we can recommend for you so you can at least get in the spirit, check out that podcast. It'll be out this weekend. If you want to follow us on the socials, we are on Facebook at Geek Salad Podcast and on Blue Sky at Geek Salad Radio. So I think I've said everything I need to say. So
unless you want to preview what's next week?
Well, next week's going to be interesting because we miscalculated. We have an extra week of October left. And so we are going to kind of give you a little bit of both. A little bit of sci-fi horror and a little bit of our November topic where we are talking about movies that were shot in black and white. We're
also going to stay with Tim Burton.
I ain't saying no more.
Okay.
And also with Tim Burton movies. So
yeah,
that leaves two movies actually. It does. It leaves two movies. You don't do that. Still gonna find my copy. My copy's in my cabinet somewhere. I gotta go look for that. Yeah. So anyway, join us next week when we kind of start anew, but not really. And until next time, I'm Andy.
I'm Mike.
Go forth and be nerdful. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Hobo, for joining us.
Thank you, Hobo. Have a good night.